and communities in the OT region to fight COVID-19. Public transport commuters in the South area raise safety concerns. Moving straight to our in our business front, coronavirus. IEA proposed 7 economic policy initiatives for Ghana's immediate long-term growth. This and many other stories coming up shortly in the next 1 hour. Stay tuned. Now the news in detail. The Greater Accra Regional Minister Ishmael Ashite has made a passionate appeal to all metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives in the region to take personal interest in the success of the second phase of the nationwide disinfection exercise launched by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development at the Independence Square in Accra.
Phase 2 of the nationwide disinfection, fumigation, and cleaning of markets, lorry parks, and other places is government's strategy of curbing the further spread of COVID-19 in the country. The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Ishmael Ashite, explains the importance of the exercise and directs all MMDCs to take active part in the exercise for an effective implementation.
In all MMDAs in the Greater Accra region, seeing me here this early morning indicates how important reducing the spread of COVID-19 in the region is to me and the RCC. This exercise is a directive from His Excellency the President through the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, following the successful execution of the first phase of the exercise we carry out in March this year. We need to prioritize this national assignment, especially those of us in Greater Accra, since this region has become the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak in Ghana. It is therefore critical for us in the region to double our efforts in ensuring that we contain the virus and stop it from further spreading.
Major markets and lorry stations in Medina, Adenta, Domekwabenya, Taifa, Amasaman, and many others were disinfected last Sunday. At the Taifa market, the Municipal Chief Executive of Ghana East Municipal, Janet Tulasi Mensah, who took part in the exercise, advised the public to take all the safety protocols seriously to minimize the spread of the virus.
It is for a purpose that we wear them, not to put them under our chin or just on them. Yes. The virus has various ways of entering into the body. So the major areas are the nose and the mouth. And so we are to wear the mask to protect our faces and the mouth and the nose. So it's very important that we don't just use the mask as a fancy thing. This exercise is to disinfect the public places. The major places are the markets, toilets, facilities, the lorry stations, and all public places. It is to minimize the spread of the virus, so to speak. Apart from the disinfestation, we are also calling on the public to use the face mask, wash their hands with the water and soap, and if possible, we can add the sanitizers to increase their protection. So that is the essence of this exercise.
However, some traders at the Medina market were seen selling their wares, and one wonder if they were properly informed of the exercise.
Now, away from that, the West African Examination Council has released a new timetable for West African Senior High School Certificate Examination candidate following the approval from the Ministry of Health. The examination begins from Monday 20th July 2020 with project works, whilst the theory papers will commence from August 3rd, 2020. So we have our correspondent on standby to brief us on the happenings in their various regions. I guess Isaac Archer is on the line. Okay, so Alan, they are not ready yet. So let's move to our next story. We'll get back to the issue about the senior high school examination. Now, Reach Out Medical Foundation, an outrage organization, has outdoored some COVID-19 hygiene materials such as Veronica buckets, hand sanitizers, and gallons of liquid soaps in Accra for onward donation to 36 communities and 3 hospitals in the Biakoya district in Oti region.
Speaking to Pan-African News on the sidelines of the donation, Dr. Frank Yuanchi, a urologist and director of Reach Out Medical Foundation, explains the mandate of the NGO in providing free surgery for the less privileged in the country. However, with the COVID-19 pandemic, supporting vulnerable communities and hospitals became their main target.
Yeah, actually, this is not the first time I'm doing this. I've been doing this several times. Each year, I organize several medical outreaches to various communities in Ghana to do free surgical operations for patients who don't have opportunity to go to the hospital to do it. Then this year, because of the COVID-19, we couldn't do a lot of the medical outreaches I've been doing. So I decided to gather resources with help from my friends to buy items to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. So that is why we bought all these things for donations to some selected health institutions and some communities in the Oti region.
The district chief executive for Biakoye in the Oti region, Comfort Ekuya Atta, was grateful for the gesture and explained what the assembly has been doing to stop the spread of the COVID-19 in the district.
In fact, I can't express my joy this afternoon because Dr. and Mrs. Yuanchi has always been very helpful to the people of Biakoye, especially, as I already said, the underprivileged, the needy children, the needy parents. In fact, people of Biakoye have been so blessed to have them. Before even this donation, they have done so much for us. They come in to have free medical treatment and surgeries and all that for people who have cases but cannot afford the expenses. So it is a joy. It's a great joy to me this afternoon.
Dr. Anastasia Yuanchi, Director of Herbal and Alternative Medicine at the Ministry of Health, disclosed the effort of governments in finding a herbal medicine to help fight COVID-19.
And I know government is putting in so much in making sure that in the near future, very soon, we will get solution, we will get some therapy, we will get some medicines from herbal medicines. As we speak now, government has supporting the Traditional and Alternative Medicine Directorate and also the stakeholders, GAFTRAM, that is Ghana Federation of Traditional Medicine Practitioners Association, together with Center for Plant Medicine Research, to collaborate to make sure that we have a safe, quality and efficacious herbal medicine for the treatment or for prophylaxis against COVID-19. So now we have done the first screening and we have some potential medicines that we need to probe further to do other tests and to make sure that at the end of the day, if we are able to do clinical trials, we are sure to get safe, quality and efficacious herbal medicine.
Now, I think our correspondent, Arthur Williams, Our correspondent from the Central Region is on standby. Hello, Williams. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Great. So can you proceed? What have you gathered so far?
Good afternoon to our listeners. This morning, we all know the WASI exams just started. So we moved to Infantipim College in the Cape Coast. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, we moved to the Central Region, Cape Coast.
Mm-hmm.
6 o'clock.
Afo, please, can you position yourself well? Because I'm finding it very difficult to hear you. Hello? Hello? I think we lost him. So let's move to other story. The aspiring flag bearer of the Convention People's Party, CPP, Professor Dr. Divine Ayivo, has bemoaned what he described as the increasing level of over-independence on foreign products in the country. In an interview with George Venet, the businessman and pastor, now politician, says he will create jobs and feed the hungry when elected into power.
Talk about who you are. When we say Dr. Ayivo, who is Dr. Ayivo?
Dr. Ayivo, in principle, is a businessman, is a pastor, and now a politician.
Pastor, not a politician.
Yes.
Why?
Why? Being a pastor is taking care of a flock of people, seeing to their welfare, making sure they're protected. You become a father to your church in every aspect of their life, making their lives better. So transitioning from that to politics is very easy. Instead of having my church, Prince Emmanuel Church, congregation, the whole country becomes my congregation.
Exactly.
So I'll make sure the homeless have a place to sleep. The people who are not working have jobs. I'll make sure the hungry are fed. So it becomes like a social aspect of politics. But that is what is lacking in Ghana. When you are unemployed, nobody cares. If you are hungry, that's your problem. If you don't have a place to sleep, like my 350 boys in Nima,
wow,
mom will be fine. None of them have a place to sleep. They sleep next to the toilet, the public toilet. So those are the things that interest me. And those are the vacuums that I want to fill with my presidency.
So why now into politics?
Why now? I think the time is now for somebody to see where the country is heading. Usually, we are created not to see our own face. So somebody else has to see where the country is heading. I have met people who have finished university and worked for 5 years and they have not found jobs because we are not creating jobs. We import it, even matches we import it. Toothpick, we import it. There's something wrong with this agenda. Until we start creating factories here, we cannot have jobs. And nothing prevents, listen, those who make medication for us in China, in India, are they better than us?
We have our Northern Region correspondent on the line. He's in the person of Majid. So, hello, Majid.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon. Welcome to Pan-African News on Pan-African Television.
Good afternoon.
Yes. So, what have you gathered so far?
Yeah, things are moving on well in Northern Region here, but the only challenge that most schools are having now is furniture problem. Because looking at things, like most students were using dry deck for classes during classes hours.
First of all, what senior high school are you in currently? Where are you exactly?
Currently, I'm at Saboba.
Aboba.
Yeah, Saboba.
Saboba Senior High School. So,
Yes,
how are they writing their exams? Are they sitting in pairs or sitting on the floor? What is happening?
Yeah, they are following the COVID-19 protocol. But the only problem is the chairs problem that they are having here. Like most students are using dual deck. During classes, hours when COVID-19 wasn't in an existence. But currently, when the exam times come in, most students, according to the regional education director, like half of the students have been reported, and most of them are not having desks to sit down and write. So they find ways and means of getting desks from elsewhere to let students who are not having access to desks to sit and write their exams.
Okay, so let's talk about the protocols. Are they observing it?
Yeah, the protocols, they have been following it. But the only difficult that was making them not to follow it was the dual dexes.
The dexes, okay. But aside that, everything is going on smoothly. Hello?
Hello?
Aside that, everything is going on smoothly in the school?
Yeah, everything is going on smoothly. The students are writing their exams without difficulties and other things.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was Majid, our Northern Region correspondent. If you're just joining us, this is Pan-African News on Pan-African Television with me, Yaa Anane. We're streaming live on Facebook at Pan-African TV. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly with more news.
Natural hair. I am Mikesh Crown Salon. Now, keeping natural hair with dreadlocks, no, I idea when you make a boma, me know. Now, you who say, and I say maintenance and a lack of knowledge, no, and I'm the air me kaika, a brofo, and a bruni, a low, a blowfui to pollute our natural hair with the harsh, dangerous chemicals. In the same way, I am known in Tina, you started training. Teaching, preaching the gospel according to maintaining natural hair with this lovely natural organic products. Now, say no ye be school now, ma'am, zebra, abesia unsano ejuma for you to be one of the best locticians in the whole wide world. It's an ejuma way, it's an ejuma osia odi kobe bia. It's an say to be a loctician, no, is a job the world need you today. Na natural hair ya de bia sese no e papa na amanfo agi atu no stigmatization, no bad names for dreadlocks and natural hair. Enti no me bok ko say brana besua sa nimdie we efa dreadlocks, sisters locks, Nubian locks, afro locks, cultivated locks, organic locks, micro locks, Caucasian locks, twist locks, real lock, hand twist, comb twist, flat twist. Sa no we nyina no brana besua usua wie na yehwe modern boa etimi agyew esan say Mikesh Training Academy no yewo branches bebre wo Ghana ha etimi employ ana say etimi esu employ outside the country.
If you want to learn all the techniques in natural hair and dreadlocks, please pick up a form in any of our branches. Also, for bulk purchases of our natural herbal products, please call 0542 126072 or 0277 454287.
Mikesh is the king of dreadlocks.
You don't know Stonewall representing, I said dreadlock to the world. BOT. Your natural hair is the crown of your glory. Mikesh!
Why you pay?
Breakfast good day, every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Breakfast good day, every day. Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Now, the Foreign Affairs Minister of Nigeria, Geoffrey Onyema, has tested positive for COVID-19. Most populous country. As at the end of June 2020, was Africa's third most impacted country, only behind South Africa and Egypt. The national response is led by the Presidential Task Force, PTF, led by SGF boss Mustafa, along with the national coordinator and relevant ministers, chief among them Health, Foreign Affairs and Education ministers. At the heart of the response is the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC. Foreign Minister Geoffrey Onyema confirmed on Sunday, July 19, 2020, that he had tested positive for the virus, becoming the latest top politician to be infected. He disclosed via Twitter that his positive result came from his fourth test since the virus entered the country. He said he was going into isolation in a health facility. The minister had been a key part of the PTF, attending most of its meetings and giving key updates, especially in the areas of evacuating of nationals from across the world. He had also been holding engagement with diplomats and other envoys at his office in Abuja. Local airline Ensman Airline also reported that it was evacuating nationals stranded in Saudi Arabia. The airline said 117 passengers were on board. The flight expected to arrive in Abuja in the early hours of Monday. Now let's move straight to South Africa. Using a public means of transport in South Africa in this time of COVID-19 is no easy task. In addition to waiting for a ride, commuters are forced to comply with hygienic measures. An administrator at Randburg Taxi Rank, Joyce Kubeka, shares her experience. This local hairdresser finds having to ride in a taxi full of people quite scary during this time.
Scary, because we are now in a taxi for it's a full taxi, and you never know which person you're sitting next to, and you don't know their health and where they've been. So it's actually not really hard, but scary.
For the first time in almost 3 months, public transport operators in South Africa have been allowed to fill up with passengers again. It's one more step towards a return to normalcy after several weeks of confinement. Let's do something on health. Africa is known to use various forms of herbal medicine to cure both physical and spiritual illness. West African countries have continued to maintain this culture over a prolonged period now. In Ghana, tetraplural plant, also known as precursor, is one of the most dominant herbal cures used in Africa. Tetraplural is a native of West Tropical Africa and belong to the pear family. Regular intake of precursor helps in losing weight. When the plant is brewed, it is used in making tea, which has the ability to cleanse all the extract fat in the body. It is preferred by many because it has no side effect. The extract obtained from this fruit has very strong healing powers for wounds and cuts. For effectiveness, the grain is grounded to form a thick paste. When applied to wounds and cuts, the pulp heals them faster and without causing any side effect on the patient. You're still watching Pan-African News on Pan-African Television with me, Yaa Anane. We're streaming live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. We'll be back shortly with the business news. Stay tuned.
Oh, it's incredible! Bang on target!
On our business front, the former finance minister in the Mahama-led administration, Seth Tekpe, is urging Ken Ofori-Atta, the current Minister of Finance, to use the upcoming mid-year budget review to disclose some hidden expenditure driving up the country's budget deficit. Seth Tekpe, in a press interaction last Friday, stated that the government application for a bailout from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, showed a deficit position which was inconsistent with what the government had earlier told Parliament. According to the former finance minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta painted a dire picture of the state of the economy in order to justify the $1 billion bailout under the IMF. According to Seth Tekpe, the finance minister went to Parliament and gave the estimated cost of COVID-19, which was about 9.5 billion Ghana cedis, financing which was secured purposely for COVID-19. The IMF's $1 billion, which should be about 5.5 billion Ghana cedis, the World Bank Support Stabilization Fund and other relief amount to be about 10 billion Ghana cedis. At the point the Bank of Ghana's financing, for example, was being considered, the country had secured enough for COVID. He explained that the only reason government is requiring more than 5 billion Ghana cedis above the estimated fiscal cost of COVID-19 is that the budget deficit over the last 2 years has been underreported. The former finance minister further urged that the only explanation one can give is that the deficit being showed at 3.5% of GDP, 4.7% of GDP, was actually higher. This, according to Seth Tekpe, means that the borrowing was being done, and now more borrowing is needed to finance items that were not disclosed, which the fund has classified as off-budget expenditure, he added. The finance minister in the coming days is expected to present the 2020 mid-year budget to Parliament as required by the Public Finance Management Act. According to Seth Tekpe, government must use the opportunity to, among others, account for the fiscal development over the last 6 months, during which he urged the IMF released its COVID-19 report to confirm its Article 4 view of the deteriorating pre-COVID fiscal situation. In the former finance minister's view, the borrowing in excess of COVID-19 needs is likely to include the 10.5 billion Ghana cedis BOJ financing of the budget, since the central bank's MPC statement clearly states that the consideration for the borrowing is market-based on difficulty in borrowing from the domestic market and higher interest costs to government. It is then expected the government to present a further trajectory that includes the IMF and rating agency projections, since they issue these reports in concurrence with government. The government should also explain to Ghanaians why it's made a hasty U-turn on its IMF exit drumming that has died down early in the wake of the declaration of the COVID-19 as a pandemic for a hefty loan when countries with less than a stellar performance had not been even contemplated the move. Away from that, the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, has put forward 7 policy proposals that it says are key to Ghana achieving immediate recovery and long-term growth. According to the IEA, Ghana's recovery path looks bleak as the coronavirus pandemic hit hard at key sectors of the economy. The 7 policy initiatives IEA has proposed over areas such as fiscal policy, revenue mobilization, expenditures, monetary policy, neutral resource policy, agricultural policy, and industry. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta revealed in April that Ghana will lose more than 9.5 billion Ghana cedis due to the impact of the global pandemic on the economy. Ken Ofori-Atta, who was speaking in Parliament to brief the nation about the economy impact of the coronavirus pandemic, said the country should prepare to lose more than 9.5 billion Ghana cedis from a shortfall in revenue from crude oil export, non-oil tax revenue, import revenue, and further spending under the National Preparedness and Response Plans and the COVID-19 Elevation Program, CAP, to combat the pandemic. In the 2020 budget, revenue from crude oil was projected with a price of $62.6 barrel. However, the Brent crude oil price is taking a nosedive to $22.9 as of yesterday, March 30th, 2020, from $63.2 in November 2019. Government estimates to lose more than 5.6 million Ghana cedis, even if the price climbed to $30 per barrel. To facilitate Ghana's immediate and long-term recovery, the IEA stated in a press release that details the 7 economic policy proposals that the country's revenue mobilization regime will not fit a facelift. The IEA notes in the press release that Ghana has a long-standing problem with revenue mobilization, stating that currently the country's tax revenue GDP ratio is 12.13%, which compares unfavorably with the average of 25% for middle-income countries and the minimum threshold of 20% under the proposed eco-currency system of the Economic Community of West African States. According to the IEA, Ghana's situation of low tax revenues does not arise from the fact that it has a low tax rate. On the contrary, Ghana's personal income, corporate income, and VAT rate are relatively high. The problem rather lies with tax losses, which expect estimate to be around 10 to 12% of GDP. In other words, we lose about as much tax revenue as we collect. Ghana's tax revenue should be significantly scaled up to support the recovery and long-term growth, the IEA stated. If you're just joining us, it's still the Pan-African News on Pan-African Television. We'll be back shortly with the international news. Stay tuned.
Hello? Okay, why? My wife comes and send a message. Hello? You know, Kosu. What's happened?
It's a chunk who will be a quiet say what? I dare say.
Besides, when a friend, I'm so here too. You are not testing. And now, so I'm still like Diana. She says, I
mean, so we a guy man, and may young who could look cry. And also wants a family drilling company limited for Kana.
What's it then? Family Drilling Company Limited.
Ye two borehole, biofuel, biogas, swimming pool, plumbing works in Naso, ye be, Frey 0240 333 111 and that's 0244 144 822.
Miampa and you want swimming pool me see. Me want to you be here. Family drilling now. Family drilling.
The fast is your shit.
Me out with that shit.
International Front on July 15th, Wednesday, the Bulgarian Socialist Party, BSP, has filed a motion of no confidence against the government in the country, which has been mired in the allegation of corruption. The BSP major opposition party accused the government and the country top prosecutor of corruption, authoritarian rule, and dependence on criminal groups.
Large-scale protests from the opposition groups have been going on in Bulgarian capital Sofia, demanding the resignation of the conservative coalition government in Bulgaria. In the wake of escalating protests and clashes, President Rumen Radev demanded the resignation of Prime Minister Boyko Borisov and Chief Prosecutor Ivan Gashev in an address to the nation. BSP leader Cornelia Ninovia told the media that government should immediately resign and face elections. This discontent, which has been on the streets and has been piling up for years, wants change of pattern. They want some kind of mimicry of the same model. An expert offers new tactic by GEB will benefit from the same political support from GEB and United Patriots. But this is the same. These people at the protest don't want more of the same, they want real change. Changing faces and preserving the model means this, and it is not a change. Who will dictate political acts? The same majority. The facade will just change to clown people on the street, she added. The incumbent government in Bulgaria is led by Boyko Borisov from the conservative GEB in coalition with Bulgarian National Movement, National Front of Salvation and Attack. Borisov has been in power since 2009 and this third term is scheduled to end in March next year. Borisov's previous governments too were accused of corruption, and according to a DW.com report, Borisov himself is currently being investigated by Spanish prosecutors over alleged participation in a money laundering scheme. The ongoing protests have sparked due to the government's nepotic support to the alleged encroachments by Ahmed Dogan, a former lead of the Movement for Rights and Freedoms. The office of the president of the country also responded against the government in this issue. The government has been always in loggerheads with President Rumen Radev, who was elected with the support of Bulgarian Socialist Party. The conflict between them got escalated last week when Chief Prosecutor Ivan Gashev ordered raids of the president's headquarters and the arrest of two of his aides reportedly on suspicion of influence peddling. Such move was widely perceived as an attempt instigated by the Prime Minister to deliberately intimidate Bulgarian president.
Thank you goes to our international partners, People's Dispatch. Now, Michael Boisiako is on standby with the sports news. Stay tuned.
wrong?
They took all my precious stuff.
Did they harm you?
Just when they were about to, they hit the siren and bolted.
Scout the area. You don't have security cameras?
They stole everything.
I thought you used ghost cameras from security.
Security warehouse?
Yes, you should. They couldn't have gotten away the way they did without either being electrocuted or being caught on a CCTV camera.
Sports. My name is Michael Nchubosiako, and let's begin from some good news concerning some Ghanaian players abroad. And football action continued around the world over the weekend, and Pan-African Sports Desk bring you up to speed with the latest happenings or comprehensive report on some Ghanaian players abroad who found their names on their score sheets for their various clubs across Europe.
Starting from the Spanish La Liga, Lumo Abeñanu's little long